Purport. The specific qualification for becoming the representative of the Lord is to be unaffected by the material modes of nature. The highest qualification of a person in the material world is to be a Brahmana. But since the Brahmana is in the mode of goodness, to be a Brahmana is not sufficient for becoming a representative of the Lord. One has to transcend the mode of goodness also and be situated in unalloyed goodness, unaffected by any of the qualities of material nature. This stage of transcendental qualification is called Shuddha Sattva or Vasudev. In this stage, the signs of God can be realized. As the Lord is not affected by the modes of material nature, so a pure devotee of the Lord is also not affected by the modes of nature. That is the primary qualification for being one with the Lord. A person who is able to attain this transcendental qualification is called Jivan Mukta, or liberated, even though he is apparently in material conditions. This liberation is achieved by one who constantly engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.187 it is said, Iha yasya harer dasye karma na manasa gira nikalasvapiyat avasthasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. Anyone who by his actions, mind and words lives only for the transcendental loving service of the Lord is certainly a liberated soul, even though he may appear to be in a condition of material existence. Uddhava was in such transcendental position, and thus he was selected to be factual representative of the Lord in his bodily absence from the vision of the world. Such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Such a devotee of the Lord can withstand all onslaughts of material nature, and therefore he is known as Goswami. Only such Goswamis can penetrate the mysteries of the Lord's transcendental loving relationships. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas present in the temple room and those which are online. Please accept my humble obeisances. Vancha kalpa turupyascha kripa sindhu bhyevacha patitanam pavinebhyo vaishnavbhyo namo nama anantakoti vaishnav vrindaki. So Hare Krishna, welcome to another Srimad Bhagavatam class. We're continuing in the wonderful discourses between Vidura and Maitreya, and here we have glories and glorification by the Lord of Uddhava. Very interesting from the verse 29, basically the verses 30 and 31, the Lord himself is actually disclosing what is the qualification of a devotee and who is my devotee, and the reason why specifically Uddhava was left on this planet. Later on, when you study in when you read how the reasons behind Lord Krishna actually destroyed the Yadu dynasty, It is said that their power was so overwhelmingly strong, not even the demigods could check them. And one of the reasons why Krishna had to disappear after the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty, of the Yadu clan, was because if Krishna will disappear before them, they will start creating a lot of havoc in the society. They will go like mad elephants. They'll become really angry, really passionate. And because no one could check them like Krishna, they will start creating a lot of disturbance in the whole universe, in the whole creation. Therefore, Krishna was actually very satisfied, very happy that the burden of the Yadu dynasty was taken off from the world. And then he was preparing for his so-called disappearance. Here we can see another interesting concept, how Krishna is actually glorifying his devotee Uddhava. In our Krishna consciousness, we have many desires, goals, and things that we wish to achieve. And when these goals and desires are hampered some way or another by some senior authority, we are very much upset. We can see how Vidura and Uddhava are actually very strongly lamenting in the absence of the Lord. They are lamenting that their shelter has disappeared from their vision. But here we can see the difference between the Yaduvamsa and Uddhava. Krishna understood the nature and position of the Yaduvamsa and decided that these personalities cannot stay present when I disappear. And what he did with Uddhava, you shall stay when I disappear. So right there's a big difference between understanding and how Krishna is actually personal. So I would like to take this class in a few directions. One of those directions is actually glorifying Uddhava, glorifying the position and unique position of Uddhava. I've been discussing with Panchatattva yesterday or day before one interesting concept, that Uddhava on 2 occasions was schooled by others, specifically by the Brijabasis. And on other occasions, Uddhava was instructed to instruct others on the teachings of Krishna. And very interesting concept, and I will ask you later on a question, see your thoughts and your understanding. There's a very nice quotation from, this is Jiva Goswami Priti Sandarbha. It is said, "For Uddhava, Lord Krishna was the supreme goal of life. This Srila Shukadev Goswami had previously explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Krishna kept Uddhava on the earth so he could preach the signs of devotional service. Later, when Srila Shukadev Goswami was preaching the glories of the Lord's pastime, there was no longer any need for Uddhava to stay on the earth." So here we can see very interesting thing. We can see the time of disappearance of Uddhava, when he withdrew himself from this earth. And that was at the point where Shukadev Goswami appeared. So there was a person, there always has to be a person on this earth who maintain in his heart the beauty and purity of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a concept, it's not only a book, but is something very unique and very intimate, connected to Bhakti, Bhakta and Bhagavan. Continuing, then in his original spiritual form, Uddhava attained the glorious spiritual land of Raj. This was Uddhava's earnest desire, as he himself said in Srimad Bhagavatam. This is from Bhagavatam, 10th canto, chapter 47 and text 61. The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons and other family members, who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the lotus feet of Mukunda Krishna, which one should search by all the Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their feet. So here we can see the character, position, and unique relationship between Uddhava and Krishna. Varieties of books like Priti Sandarbha, or Sandarbhas of Jiva Goswami, Srimad Bhagavatam, and other Uddhava Sandesh, they're actually speaking about the great position of Uddhava. And here we can see how Uddhava was uniquely connected with Krishna in the city of Dwaraka. He was his constant personal associate, his well-wisher, his minister. And due to that unique connection between Krishna and Uddhava, Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan. And here we can see, one can say, right, in terms of rasa, in terms of connection, in terms of the dham one can occupy. One would say Uddhava will be somewhere high there in the social strata, spiritual strata of Dwaraka. He'll be somewhere up there in the mood of serving Dwarakadish Krishna. But here we can see the unique transference of rasa. We can see the unique transportation from one mood to another. Right? Someone who occupies such an esteemed position in the mood of awe and reverence, Aishvarya Bhav to the finest, becomes allured by the position of the gopis. So this begs a question. Is our rasa fixed, or can it be changed by the unique mercy of Krishna and Vaishnavas? Right? Some people are very much in awe and reverence. Ramachandra, right? He's the king. He's the Raja Rishi, superb. Or Krishna, Dwarakadish. He's the master of Dwaraka. He's the lord of all the queens of Dwaraka. He's the master of all the Narayani Sena. He's the one who's the greatest possessor of the wealth of Dwaraka, with thousands and millions of temples and great palaces and wealth beyond imagination. But here we can see unique way how the mood of approach of Uddhava to Krishna changed. After association with the Brajabasis, Uddhava developed unique need and desire to reside in Vrindavan. That's quite interesting. That's a very interesting concept to observe. Then later on, it is mentioned that Uddhava was such a uniquely similar to Krishna that even Nanda Maharaj was not able initially to recognize who this is. Is this my son, or is this someone else? It is said, as soon as Uddhava arrived in Nanda Maharaj's home, Nanda came forward to meet him. The cowherd king embraced him in great happiness and worshipped him as no different from Vasudev. The personal approach of the Lord towards Uddhava once sent him to learn to deliver the message to Vrijabasis. There's a very beautiful book called Uddhava Sandesh. This is written by Rupa Goswami. And I would like to say this is one of the most unique parikrama book presented directly by Krishna. And when I say parikrama book, what happens is that Krishna started narrating not only the message to Uddhava, which sent to Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, the Gopas and the Gopis and the inhabitants of Raj, but what he started narrating is the whole journey pilgrimage from Dwaraka to Vrindavan. When you enter Vrindavan, the first thing you do, you go and visit this house, Krishna says to Uddhava. Next thing you do, you avoid this person because he's a troublemaker. Then go to Govardhan and pay my obeisances to Govardhan. Then after Govardhan, you go here to this Kund. Then after this Kund, visit this Brijabasi. Then when you visit this Brijabasi, go first to Mother Yashoda, then to Nanda Maharaj. Then visit this Gopa, this Gopa, this Gopa. And then, this is my most intimate message to the Gopis. And then he narrates that. So it's a very unique, special, beautiful book presented by Rupa Goswami. So if you like parikramas, if you like parikrama books, then this is the most unique parikrama book directly presented by Krishna to Uddhava in Uddhava Sandesh. Then it continues. O friends, your visit to Gopendra Nanda's land of Raj is not meant only fulfilling many of my desires. This is how unique was the relationship between Krishna and Uddhava. This is not only that you are just my duta, my messenger, and just my desires to facilitate the information and message given to the Brajabasis. But then he said, it is meant also for you, that you may remember these supremely eloquent words I have spoken, and that you may directly see the bliss and love the beautiful gopis feel. This is from Uddhava Sandesh, text 129. And then again, unique position of Uddhava. Uddhava is more handsome than Pradyumna, and also more dear to Lord Krishna, always wearing yellow silk garments, jeweled shark-shaped earrings. Who else has sharp-shaped earrings? Krishna. Garlands of forest flowers and necklaces of jewels that had all been worn at one time by Lord Krishna. Uddhava delights us by bewildering us into thinking that instead of him we are actually seeing before us Lord Krishna, whose handsome splendor attracts the hearts of his devotees. This is from Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So again, it shows the position of Uddhava, how he was having Mahaprasadam from Krishna directly in the form of garlands and jewelry. And it even shows the transcendental humor of Uddhava, how he's desiring to even bewilder either the Dwarakabasis and the Vrijabasis by his unique lakshanas and features of his body. Then Brihad Bhagavatamrita continues. His ancient and recent son headed by Brahma, his brothers headed by Balaram, his friends headed by Shiva, his wives headed by Goddess of Fortune, and even his own transcendental form are not as dear to Lord as Uddhava is. The Lord himself has said this in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So we can see the very unique position again of Uddhava and how close he was to the Supreme Lord. But here we can also read in Srila Prabhupada's purport the qualification. And the one qualification which stands out is that he is not touched by the modes of material nature. Another interesting concept is that Krishna is actually showing that in my disappearance, and when I'm not going to be physically present here, the unique investment of Shakti and empowerment that Lord gives upon his devotees is not just that we are delivered by the Lord. We are delivered by the Lord's devotees and those which are followers of those devotees. And I dare to say one thing, and maybe this may seem slightly controversial, but bear with me. When Srila Prabhupada came to the West to preach the cult of Lord Chaitanya, with him, as it was said many times before, he came with the whole spiritual world. And when we say spiritual world, Krishna always comes with his entourage, with his weapons, with the dham, with paraphernalia, and with his devotees. And similarly, when Srila Prabhupada came, he opened a door of relationships that we may establish with devotees. These relationships are relationship with Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, with Bhaktivinoda Thakur, with Narottam Das Thakur, with Baladev Vidyabhushan, with Pundarik Vidyanidhi, with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Ramanujacharya, Sridham Swami, Nimbaditya, and so on. All these great personalities are those which we may develop relationship with, and ultimately the Goswamis of Vrindavan. So what Krishna is presenting here is saying Uddhava is not inferior to me in any way, because he is never affected by the modes of material nature. So who else is not affected by the modes of material nature? Vaishnavas. Those pure devotees which reached out to the Lord, and by the process of sadhana bhakti and raganuga and ultimately ragatmika bhakti, they got purified to the degree that they are not touched by the modes of material nature. So the message, the underlying message of this particular verse is that we should reach out to these Vaishnavas and develop relationship with these Vaishnavas. How many of us read Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav? How many of us know the story of Bhaktivinoda Thakur? How many of us know Gaurkishore Das Babaji, Jagannath Das Babaji? How many of us study the beautiful books of Narottam Das Thakur, especially by Sitala Devi, Sitala Mataji? So what Krishna is saying is that don't hesitate and develop relationship with the Vaishnavas, because those unique relationship and those unique contribution and moods and rasa of these devotees allow our minds to become occupied within this material world. You see, in the mundane sphere, we hanker for relationships, we hanker for saturation, we hanker for constant meditations, constant focus, constant depth within something. The nature of the mind is that it needs to be engaged. The nature of the mind is that it needs to be occupied. The nature of the mind is that we have to be in relationship with something and someone and some kind of ideology. There is moods that we have to fill in. So what is meant here in this word, the underlying message of Krishna is fill in this hankering of the mind with the variety of Vaishnavas. Fill this with the varieties of spiritual scriptures, with the varieties of the way that you can connect with the Lord. There are varieties of processes which are uniquely presented in our culture, Gaudiya Vaishnava culture. Shravanam, Kirtanam, meditation upon the deities, Vandanam, prayers, worshipping the Lord, developing friendship with the Lord. And you cannot be just a friend with the Lord and neglect the friends of the Lord. Do you understand this point? Do you know by name, by heart, the Gopas which Krishna is constantly surrounded with? Do you know the names of the Astasakis and their unique contribution and their unique way of serving Radharani? So what is offered in the scriptures and what is offered within the person of the Vaishnavas is varieties. And it is said variety is the mother of enjoyment. So we have to enjoy because the soul is naturally pleasure seeking. So Krishna is presenting here, enjoy. Enjoy the unique relationship with Vaishnavas. Unique rasa with the Vaishnavas. It's right there for you. And this is the unique contribution of our Gaudiya line. And interesting that Prabhupada says, and this is actually, he taken this from the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It is said, the nature of a pure transcendentalist, or those who are Jiva Mukta, and this is interesting, such a devotee of the Lord is never affected by material strength, intelligence, or even renunciation. Wait a minute. But these are the concepts of Bhagavan, right? Strength, renunciation, intelligence. How come one cannot be bewildered by those attributes which are directly associating with the Lord? What does that mean? What does he mean that I will not be afflicted or I will not be affected by the strength and intelligence and renunciation? Everything disconnected from Krishna is an opportunity and allurement of Maya. So those which are pure devotees, because this is a comparison between those which are in the mode of material goodness, those which are brahmanas, still they can be afflicted by the intensity of what they're attracted by their renunciation and the mode of goodness, strength, intelligence, and renunciation. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So there's a possibility and challenge and an obstacle even in a mode of goodness that one may fall down. And it's explained in Srimad Bhagavatam that even great brahmanas which haven't surpassed the threshold of transcendental service and relationship to the Lord had fall downs. Because what happens when you're so intelligent? What happens when you're so renounced? What happens when you're very strong materially? You become puffed up. You become proud. I'm a brahmana. What do you know? I have a deeper knowledge. I'm a brahmana. I'm much more renounced. Look at you, sense enjoyer. Look how you're enjoying all your senses. Look at me, drinking 1 cup of milk a day. I have a divine right to be in Shiva's Angam. This is one of the mood of one brahmachari mentioned from Chaitanya Bhagavat. He was very proud. I only drink 1 cup of milk. That's all I do. I'm a great brahmachari and I have a right to enter these pastimes with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could smell the pride from long distance. That's why he stopped his kirtan. So what it means that even within material realm, even if the highest realms of material goodness, there's still opportunity and possibility for a fall down if we disconnect that with the Supreme Lord. So in comparison to Uddhava, we see that how Prabhupada puts him, and Krishna puts him on the pedestal of Shuddha Sattva, or Vasudeva, on the pure unalloyed goodness, and truly understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. And then afterwards, the Lord sent Uddhava to Badrika Ashram, where the deities of Nara Narayana Rishi. And all these great personalities, these great sadhus, sages and rishis which we're meditating in Badrika Ashram, they've been repenting and being felt very, very sorry for not having directly the darshan of the Supreme Lord. So here it shows that how Krishna fulfills by one stroke of an activity many goals. One of them goals was to retain and maintain person Bhagavat and give darshan to other great sages and Raja Rishis, which were meditating on the Supreme Lord but couldn't have this association. So he sent Uddhava there to associate with them. But simultaneously he offered his personal friend Uddhava the mood and presentation of the Raj Gopis, the mood of Raja. And we can see the transformation and transition from Dwarkadish, almost like Aishvarya Bhav of Uddhava, into mood of appreciation, the service of the gopis. Another interesting concept, and again Panchatattva, we discussed this one, is that when we speak about Gopi Bhav, right, immediately we enter that, oh, you must be like a gopi, like some cowherd maiden of Raja, you know, taking yogurt and taking milk from one place to another, getting stopped by Krishna, being harassed, this and that. But actual Gopi Bhav means being servant of a servant of a servant of a servant. The actual mood of being in service, that's the real Gopi Bhav. To be a true servant, that means having the mood of the gopis. To sweep the temple, to clean the toilets, to sort out the mail at the reception, to go on Harinam, to go on Sankirtan, to serve the deities, to cook for the Vaishnavas, to maintain temple, to maintain ashram, to study Prabhupada's books. This is actually the real mood of the gopis. It means enhancing our position as a servant of a servant of a servant. And that was what was presented to Uddhava. Uddhava was struck when he came with his full-on explanations of the tattva of position of Krishna, and he was struck by the heartfelt separation of the Vrijabasis from Krishna. And this is when he had that desire to become a creeper in Vrindavan, to serve as someone that they can walk on, the gopis. So I'll leave it there. We have 10 minutes. If there are any points, any questions connected to this particular verse or in general, please, Andrew.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the very nice class. So you mentioned that with intelligence comes getting puffed up. So by nature, when being introduced to spiritual knowledge, we gain intelligence. So then how can we keep ourselves humble?
The question is how we cannot be humble. Because everything you know is because of the mercy of the devotees. Everything is known is because Srila Prabhupada painstakingly was translating all these books. And when we see the sacrifice, this is the very, very important thing. I think it should be compulsory for devotees to study and read the biographies of great acharyas. As much as we read, we are impelled and pushed to read Bhagavatam, Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it should be compulsory for us to read the biographies of our Goswamis and our Vaishnavacharyas. Then we can see what humility is. Then we can see what the caliber of Vaishnavas they've been and the humility they've been presenting. You see, intelligence is just a tool. Just like, I don't know, wealth. Just like renunciation. It's a tool. And with any tool, you always have a choice to utilize it for yourself or utilize it in service of Krishna. And you see, Krishna gives and Krishna takes. I remember sitting in this same Vyasasan, and I'd done crazy amount of preparation for class. I'd done my research, I spent some time doing this, doing that, blessings of the Vaishnavas. And then you sit on Vyasasan and just everything is just disappears. And you felt like there's just like nothing in my brain. So you can think, I have the intelligence, I have the determination, I have the strength, I have the presentation, I have the power of speech. But Krishna in a simple stroke can take all of that away. So how can we not be humble? Krishna can remove everything that we are proud of in a simple stroke. In a simple split moment, everything can be gone. So how can we not be humble of our intelligence? If something can be taken away so easily, what we are proud of. I remember being on Sankirtan and just like, oh, I got the arguments, I'm gonna defeat this guy like anything. And Krishna just suddenly like, it's just like a vacuum, just sucks it out of you. All that so-called intelligence just disappears. And you have nothing to say. And you're just being humbled. Either you're humble or you become humbled. And because we are in a Sankirtan movement, Krishna takes direct precedence over purifying us as a sadhakas. And we should pray to Krishna. Please, Krishna, be more direct and be more present in my life. And when you put yourself in situations where Krishna is almost forced to be present in your life, then that's a very good position to be in. So, how we can be proud if it doesn't come from us, it doesn't belong to us, and in any moment can be taken away from us. Thank you for the question. Any other points? Jesse has a question. Or Paramakruna Prabhu, he already has it. Just wait for a moment.
To be a devotee, you need to be a representative of the Lord. In the purport, Prabhupada is saying, we need to be free from the three modes of material nature. So who are we representing when we're preaching? And also Brahmanas, like how many devotees are on the goodness or like that. So we're not even Brahmanas. So who are we then? If we're not devotees, we're not Brahmanas. And who are we representing? And connected with that question, Prabhupada later on says that how to come to the state of Jivan Mukta is by constantly engaging in transcendental loving service of the Lord. But how can we engage in transcendental loving service of the Lord if we're in the modes? The whole idea of transcendental loving service of the Lord is that you are free from the modes, and therefore then you're able to engage in the service of the Lord. So both of those questions are kind of connected. So I don't know if you want to say something on that.
Very nice question. So yes, definitely. We, at least speaking for myself, I'm not a Brahmana. Nevertheless, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, we've been offered Brahmanical training. We are definitely, again speaking for myself, under the jurisdiction of the three modes of material nature. Nevertheless, this was interesting because this question which you mentioned that, okay, who are we representing? We are representing the path of sadhana bhakti. We are representing the path which offers purification. We are representing a path which shows that the most unfortunate people can become the most fortunate. We are representing that amongst all the darkness of the age of Kali, there's a path which creates diamonds. We are representing lineage of great Vaishnava acharyas, which then themselves been pure. And we are representing a theme that every sinner has a future and every saint has a past. That's what we represent. That's what it represents. And when we, another part of your question was that, can you repeat the other section? That was the pure, only by pure transcendental service.
Yeah, one can become a Jivan Mukta, free from the three modes.
Yes. You see, the process which is prescribed is a pure transcendental process. That process in itself, chanting the holy names of the Lord, engaging in sadhana bhakti, worshipping the deities, meditating on the Lord, all the angas of bhakti, they are transcendental. We are engaging in them, but we are coming with a baggage. But nevertheless, we are engaging in pure transcendental activity, and the pure transcendental activity has an effect on us. So, the process is pure, the practitioner is not. But due to the intensity and purity of the transcendental process, the practitioner becomes pure. And we can see it in us, how ruffians are entering temples and how they're leaving on Harinam Sankirtan as a very nice Vaishnavas representing Guru and Gauranga. So that's a very, in itself, very pure process. In this age of Kali, just to refrain from the four sinful activities is a success on its own. When you live in a society which just constantly bombards you that the source of enjoyment means to do four sinful activities, it's quite achievement on its own sometimes. Hare Krishna. Any other points? Oh, sorry, Jesse. Yes, please.
Thank you, Antaranga Prabhu. You mentioned a question earlier. You were saying, whether our rasa is fixed or if it can be changed depending on the mercy of Krishna and the devotees. So I was wondering if you could,
Well, this is the unique presentation that we can see that Uddhava was the whole time in Dwaraka, which in itself it's abode of Aishwarya above, right? And then Krishna somehow or another took a special unique interest in Uddhava and said to him, you know what? There is some kind of a capacity, or there's some kind of a form or shape of your desires which may be changed by the mood of the Brijabasis. And he sent him to Vrindavan as a messenger for two reasons, right? As mentioned, as I quoted. And from Brihad Bhagavatamrita, that is, you are my representative, you look like me, so that will bring great pleasure to the Brijabasis. And same time, this is unique opportunity for you to see a different mood and see if you can absorb yourself. You see, it's not for everyone. Like, for instance, who was this? Murari Gupta, right? Murari Gupta in Chaitanya Leela was fixed in Ram Leela since he was, as Gauraganadesha Deepika explains by Kavi Karnapur, that he was Hanuman himself. So his rasa was fixed. Different acharyas explain that there are certain embodied pillars of rasas which are not, they cannot fluctuate in their rasa. Mother Yashoda, for instance, she's a personification of that particular rasa. She can never deviate from her, rasa, that she's a mother of Krishna. For instance, Pandavas, they are able to fluctuate in their rasa. Sometimes they're in the dasya, sometimes they're in sakya. So there is personalities which are able to fluctuate. And here Krishna almost experimented with Uddhava's ability to fluctuate in the rasa. So I wouldn't say necessarily that there's a certain rigid concept in terms of rasa. There may be circumstances only Krishna knows and only Vaishnavas know, only Sri Guru knows, that after introduction to certain particular circumstances, that rasa may be changed, enhanced, or even split. But I don't want to go to esoteric concepts. So I would say, yeah, Krishna is expert in a sense, so he understands the nature of devotees, so he did what he did. And then the nature and rasa of Uddhava changed to a degree that he hankered for Raj Prem or Raj Bhakti. Any other points or questions?
Hare Krishna, thank you. It was a really beautiful class. I like your point on how we have a need for relationships and how to fill this need, you're saying it's compulsory to read the biographies. I think this would really help with just enhancing my relationship with the Bhagavatam in general. But having said that, I think, how do you check yourself from like maybe avoiding the relationships you're meant to have by, I think there's a tendency to maybe escape into scripture or escape into transcendental books and avoiding certain relationships that we're meant to have. So could you say something about just checking yourself from avoiding?
My personal approach to reading is that whenever I read quote-unquote leisure reading, like Prabhupada's biographies of the Acharyas, what they do within me is that they actually encourage me to read Bhagavatam, to read Bhagavad Gita, to engage in a relationship with Chaitanya Charitamrita. And because there's book Bhagavat and there's a person Bhagavat, and both of them are very much interconnected. And when you read about person Bhagavat, I remember when I was 16 and I first time got Prabhupada Ebubaushi and the Bhagavad Gita. I loved Bhagavad Gita. It was nice. It was good reading, but not necessarily fully changed my heart. But then when I read Prabhupada Ebubaushi, I was like, wow, I want to be like this person. And the question may be raised, how can you be like that person? By associating with paraphernalias and attributes and performing sadhana to the degree and with the intensity that particular person. So it's encouraging. Like I read Indradyumna Maharaj's Diaries of a Traveling Preacher, and they're absolutely amazing. And I'm thinking, I want to go on Sankirtan, I want to do Harinam, let's do preaching, let's go on festivals, let's do this. Then you read Narottam Das Thakur's The Glorious Life of Narottam Das Thakur, and you think that the intensity and beauty of his bhajan and his purity attracted so many people. And then you go to the Samadhi of Narottam Das Thakur in Radha Gokulananda Mandir in Vrindavan, and you feel connected with this Acharya. And then you read about Lokanath Goswami, how he was contemporary to Bhugarbha Goswami, and how they've been the first transcendental excavators of Vrindavan. And you think, wow, thanks to them, I can see what I see now. And then you read about Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Jiva Goswami. And then you think, Jiva Goswami labored so hard for us. And he established bhakti as the highest means of worshipping the Lord. He was the greatest composer of transcendental literature, period. He was considered to be the greatest poet on the planet, the greatest philosopher on the planet. So when you develop the relationships, then you find appreciation for their hard labor, which ultimately is Bhagavatam, which ultimately is Bhakti Shastras. So I always do these two. And then when I don't feel like Bhagavatam, or don't feel like Gita, I read something which allows me to enter Bhagavatam and Gita. So Prabhupada's Lilamrita, it's a must. It's not Bhakti Shastri for second initiation only. We should know Lilamrita. And all these other books are just so encouraging and empowering. So there's so much literature that we can find something that we resonate with. Whatever it may be, astrology, astronomy, agriculture, cooking, whatever it may be, we can find something which always enhance our taste for Bhakti Shastras. And that's a personal offering. Thank you. Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Premanande.